hope we make it back alive. Anything could happen.
Oh yes, anything can happen in Doc Ford country.
It's a great bird rookery right here.
Here on Pine Island is where the story began for the man we now know as author Randy Wayne White.
I've been a fishing guide for 13 years on Sanibel, Tarpon Bay. Did almost 3,000 charters.
Unlikely stepping stone to the bestseller lists, but his experiences on these waters form the backbone of novels about a marine biologist and ex-government agent called Doc Ford.
I thought if I have one character who is purely linear and unsympathetic and not spiritual, and if I had another character who was purely spiritual and intuitive, I could say just about any darn thing I wanted to and get away with it. And that's how I came up with Doc Ford and Tomlinson, his hipster pal.
Florida itself would become the third important character in Randy's books, combining mystery and suspense and a bit of hidden history.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
This is a real treat.
Now it is 15 novels later.
She's in love with Doc. I had to escort her here because otherwise something could have happened.
It's actually a guidebook. And so we're all just kind of living a little bit through Doc and Randy. It doesn't hurt anything to fantasize, does it?
Anyone who writes a mystery in Florida is said, well, he's the next John D. McDonald. He truly is the heir apparent with Doc Ford. He's a big lug, but I love him.
Is he referring to the character or creator?
Well, there are people who think you are Doc Ford.
I wish I was Doc Ford. He's a lot bigger, stronger, better looking than I. Doc Ford is an amalgam, actually, of people I've met over the years.
What does this character Doc Ford look like? Well, depends on the reader.
Like a Harrison Ford type character.
He's a real health freak.
I think of Doc Ford as a big guy. He prefers to be kind of nerdy, and he keeps holding in until he gets into a serious situation.
The book never says what he looks like, never does. And intentionally, and probably dumbly or stupidly or whatever, I decided early on that I would never describe Doc Ford.
Ford's sidekick, however, is described quite precisely.
Tomlinson looks very much like a baseball player named Bill Spaceman Lee. Pitched for the Red Sox for many years, and he's one of my dearest friends and a brilliant, absolutely brilliant guy, but just, by gum, just different.
It must be admitted, Doc Ford was not Randy's first attempt at fiction writing. While still a fishing guide, he was asked to write a fictional book about a Florida fishing guide.
I wrote the first book in 9 days, 45,000 words. It was rainy and windy and no charters. I had 2 young sons and needed the money, but they're just awful books, just awful.
He would go on to write 7 such awful books under the pen name Randy Stryker.
That's too many.
Some fans have disregarded his warnings and read those Randy Stryker books anyway.
Yeah, we all sin a little bit. You can definitely tell the difference.
They weren't in print for many years, and then someone found out that I'd written them, and now they can't put my darn name on them big enough.
When he started writing the Doc Ford series, he used his real name, but that presented a problem.
First time I did an interview, I said, "Hi, I'm Randy Wainwright." I'm sorry. I'm Randy Rain. It's like the Elmer Fudd Hall of Fame combined with a serial killer. You know, it's just...
You couldn't say your own name.
I can't say it now.
Between the Stryker books and the Doc Ford books, Randy wrote nonfiction for Outside Magazine.
Incredible gig. Every month I would sit down with a world globe and sometimes spin it, and that's the truth. And if it landed on a third world country, I would probably go there. If there was a war going on there, I definitely would go there. And that was my job. I was in Nicaragua during the revolution there, and Guatemala. And history's important. To miss an opportunity to see what is happening, I would find, I'd be disappointed in myself.
Over the years, he's developed a love of Cuba and its people.
The first time I went was 1976. Went back during what Castro called the special time. Mariel Harbor, Cuba in 1980, I brought back 147 refugees on a 55-foot boat.
One of his most cherished visits involved barnstorming the countryside with his self-proclaimed old man's baseball team.
We went for a number of years, went to Cuba, took baseball gear for kids and gave it away. And one year we did a documentary.
The documentary, called The Gift of the Game, showed two very different cultures united by one game.
Only a kook would believe a bunch of middle-aged ball players with beer guns could bust the bureaucracy in a police state that America's embargoed for 40 years.
We ask your Lord's blessing on the boys of summer. We ask that nothing get permanently injured. We ask that you WD-40 their joints.
Did well. Won the Woods Hole Film Festival. The film is dear and funny and touching.
But the world traveler also appreciates home, where he lives with his wife, Wendy.
In the blue light, after midnight, makes a melody sometimes. If you go there, I will be there.
Their old Florida home is perched atop a 2,000-year-old Indian mound. Inside and out, it is filled with eclectic souvenirs from Randy's third world travels.
It's a Cuban refugee boat. It's made out of tin sheet roofing. As you can see, it's brilliantly made. It's got a Russian engine, gas engine. 12 men in this small boat left Cuba secretly. The engine broke down. They rode the Gulf Stream. They drifted ashore in Key Largo, drifted up at a beach at a bar called the Mandalay. They got out and drank, and they're still in the U.S. I actually traded the first copy of one of my books.
I've been everywhere, man.
They're Russian binoculars, and they were used in East Germany. Brilliant resolution and great optics, and man, I wish there was a nude beach around here because I'd have more fun with them. It's kind of nice, huh? Friends of mine in Cartagena, Colombia made it for me, and their joke was it weighs about freaking 75 pounds. I had to carry it back as luggage.
I've been everywhere, man.
It was during the invasion of Panama, Just Cause, which was December '89, January '90, and then on through early 1990. Friends of mine brought it back to Florida for me, and I'm very glad because it was almost as heavy as the damn bells. It's a strange house, kind of like a museum. I just haven't left yet.
I've been everywhere.
Randy spends about 6 months actually sitting down and writing his books. He publishes a book a year.
Do you hate writing?
I don't hate it. It's never gotten easier. And it is just one painful, powerful day after another. And there are days where I'll look back and I'll go, you know, that sentence is pretty good. I kind of like that. But I always go through a period where in a book where I go, this is the biggest piece of awful stuff ever written. Why am I doing this? I should be back on the boat. It's never gotten easy. It's always hard.
Hard, but worth the effort. Randy Wayne White has found his calling. On and off the page, he is living it, one novel adventure at a time.
In the blue